Oh, her warning.
Yeah, this is a girl who says that man
well,
has trouble.
This did happen to me, and it was a he. And I went right ahead and married the guy, and it was...
Everyone remembers Lucille Ball as the woman who made the world laugh. The fiery red hair, the fearless comedy, the slapstick genius that turned ordinary living rooms into places of joy. To audiences, she was laughter itself, a symbol of warmth and resilience. But behind the bright lights, behind the applause and perfectly timed punchlines, Lucille Ball lived another life, one the cameras never captured, one filled with silence, discomfort, and moments that slowly broke her heart. Hollywood gave her power, fame, and legacy, but it also gave her a front-row seat to cruelty the public never saw. Before she died, Lucille Ball exposed the 7 actresses she believed were actually evil. Not villains on screen, but in real life. These were women the world adored, icons praised as legends, faces trusted and celebrated by millions. Yet behind closed doors, away from the cameras, Lucille witnessed behavior so cold, so cruel, it haunted her until her final days. Some were her co-stars, some were Hollywood royalty, and every one of them left her with a story darker than the last. What she saw will change how you see classic Hollywood forever. As the woman who helped build Desilu Studios and reshape television with I Love Lucy, Lucille moved through Hollywood's inner circles with authority and respect. She saw people when they weren't performing. She watched how they treated assistants, crew members, waiters, and volunteers, people who couldn't fight back. And quietly, privately, she began to understand something painful. Not every star was kind. Some, she believed, were truly dangerous. Before her death, Lucille spoke to close friends about several actresses she felt carried real darkness inside them. Not villains on screen, but in real life. Women worshipped across the world, icons whose public images were flawless, and each one left her with scars she never forgot. The name that chilled her the most was Joan Crawford. To the world, Joan was the very definition of old Hollywood glamour, diamonds, elegance, and an untouchable presence. But to Lucille Ball, she was something else entirely. Lucille once said softly to a friend that all Joan had was glamour, and underneath it, there was nothing but ice. Their most haunting encounter came in 1971 during Joan's guest appearance on Here's Lucy. From the moment Joan arrived on set, the atmosphere shifted. She demanded the studio temperature be locked at exactly 68 degrees, insisted her chair be angled precisely, and ordered lighting changes to suit her bone structure. Lucille didn't argue. That wasn't what disturbed her. What broke her heart came moments later. A young wardrobe assistant, only 22 years old, brought Joan a dress with a barely visible wrinkle. Joan didn't calmly correct the issue, she attacked. Witnesses heard her hiss that the girl was a useless nothing and that toilets would be lucky to have her. The assistant fled in tears. Joan demanded she be fired immediately. Lucille Ball refused. That refusal marked the beginning of a silent war. When cameras rolled, Joan transformed, charming, sparkling, gracious. When they stopped, she went cold again, like a mannequin switching modes. Lucille later said she'd worked with department store mannequins that felt more human. To her, Joan wasn't just cold, she was performing humanity, not living it. Until her final days, Joan Crawford remained the woman Lucille believed was truly evil. Then there was Judy Garland, a name Lucille spoke with exhaustion rather than hatred. They had known each other since their early days at MGM. Lucille admired Judy's voice, her vulnerability, her tragic brilliance, but she also witnessed the destruction Judy left behind. She once said Judy was magic, but magic that burned the stage down. One story haunted her deeply. A television shoot in the 1970s had Judy scheduled for 5 a.m. The entire crew arrived on time. Lighting, camera, makeup, grips. They waited for hours. Judy arrived at 2 p.m., radiant and apologetic. She delivered 30 flawless minutes that reminded everyone why she was a legend. Then she said she was too tired to continue and left.
The next morning, 3 crew members were fired because the production had gone over budget. They weren't powerful, they weren't famous. They were replaceable in an industry that never protected the quiet workers behind the scenes. Lucille Ball felt the weight of that injustice deeply. Her anger wasn't rooted in jealousy, bitterness, or moral superiority. It came from scars she carried herself. Lucille had survived Hollywood by being dependable in a system that discarded women the moment they became inconvenient. She showed up on time. She carried productions when others faltered. Watching Judy Garland waste her extraordinary gift while innocent people lost their livelihoods felt unforgivable to her. When Judy Garland died in 1969, Lucille grieved the loss of a once-in-a-generation talent, but she did not grieve the chaos. Judy, in Lucille's eyes, wasn't evil by intent, but the damage left in her wake was real, lasting, and impossible to excuse. Lucille never ignored that truth, no matter how beloved Judy remained. Another name that never left Lucille's mind was Ava Gardner. Lucille once admitted that Ava frightened her, not because of dramatic outbursts or public tantrums, but because of something far colder. Ava seemed to take pleasure in the hurt she caused. Beauty sharpened into a weapon. Lucille saw it clearly during an MGM wardrobe fitting in the mid-1960s. A young assistant nervously presented Ava with a freshly steamed dress. A seam had softened slightly from oversteaming, a flaw so small it was barely noticeable. Ava stared at the girl in silence before slowly saying that incompetence could never be fixed with more incompetence. The room froze. The girl stood humiliated, unable to move. Lucille felt physically sick watching it unfold. This wasn't diva behavior. This was domination. Later, Lucille said Ava Gardner didn't make mistakes, she made victims. The cruelty didn't stop there. At a cocktail party, someone casually mentioned Lucille's name. Ava smirked and said loudly that the washed-up clown was still working. People gasped. Ava didn't care. Lucille believed that if Ava hadn't been beautiful, no one would have tolerated who she really was. They never reconciled. Ava aged into legend. Lucille's memories of her aged into disgust. Lucille's disappointment deepened with Bette Davis. She respected talent fiercely, but she despised cruelty even more. Their worst moment unfolded at an industry dinner. A young waiter accidentally brought the wrong wine. Bette Davis tore into him publicly, asking if reading a label was beyond his abilities. The room fell silent. The waiter apologized again and again. Bette continued, savoring the humiliation like a performance. Lucille watched, stunned. Later that night, Bette raised her glass toward Lucille in mock friendliness. Lucille didn't return it. She later said Joan was cold, but Bette enjoyed inflicting the wound. They avoided each other for decades. Lucille believed greatness should protect people, not crush them. Then there was Zsa Zsa Gabor, a name Lucille reacted to with laughter rather than anger. What disgusted her wasn't temper, it was fraudulence. At a charity event in the late 1960s, cameras flashed as Zsa Zsa arrived draped in diamonds and furs, smiling like royalty. The second the photographers left, everything changed. When a volunteer guided her to a table, Zsa Zsa snapped that she didn't sit with peasants. Minutes later, a young volunteer accidentally brushed her coat. Zsa Zsa leaned in with a sweet smile and whispered that if it happened again, she'd make sure the girl never worked an event in town. Lucille felt sick watching the threat delivered like a compliment. Later, she said nothing about Zsa Zsa was real. Not the accent, not the elegance, not even the kindness. When Zsa Zsa later slapped a Beverly Hills police officer in 1989, Lucille wasn't surprised. She simply said, that was the real one. To Lucille, fake kindness was worse than open cruelty. A fake person could disarm people. A fake person could fool the world. Lucille Ball made the world laugh, But behind that laughter was a woman who never stopped watching and never stopped caring about those no one else protected. She believed how someone treated the powerless revealed the truth. If this story moved you, like, share, and subscribe so these hidden Hollywood shadows are never forgotten. Thanks for watching.